A very good afternoon, guys. I see a lot of young people, around 21 people who have joined right now. I would like to welcome you all and hope this session helps you set the right marketing strategies and basically set the right direction for your startups, right? And Abhay gave a very good introduction, but I would like to add a few things about myself, right? So I'm currently working as a chief marketing officer with NetSoftMate Technologies, which is a core IT services company based out of Hyderabad with offices around the Middle East, US, and Southeast Asia. And before this, I have worked for a company called as Loginex Solutions Private Limited, excuse me, which is one of the fastest growing SaaS startups from India, a B2B technology company. And I've spent around 4 years there, starting from a very early stage setup and growing towards becoming like Asia's fastest growing company, like one of the Asia's fastest growing company. So a lot of learnings from that particular startup, which I can share with you, and I would like you guys to ask me a lot of questions. So first thing is that I would like this session to be very interactive, right? I know I am here to present, speak, but I know there would be a lot of doubts that you guys might have, which I might miss in my presentation. So I would like you guys to be open enough and ask a lot of questions, and I would not shy away from answering any of those, right? Correct. So I have around 10 to 15 years of experience in business development and market. So I would also be able to cater to your sales questions. How should you plan your sales strategies? What should be your revenue goals? How should you set all your revenue goals, right, for your sales team? And how can you align marketing with sales? So I would be comfortable talking about all these areas, right? So here's I'll briefly tell you about the session, how I have planned to take the session ahead. I have a presentation which will talk about basic marketing stuff, because I am assuming a lot of people might be interested in knowing basics of marketing also, right? I don't want to directly jump to advanced levels, marketing automation, all those stuff, where people might get disconnected. So I have prepared a very basic presentation, how you should start, considering that there are a lot of founders, or I would say a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs here in this group. And even for people who would love to or like to work for startups in marketing, they should know all these things, right? So based on that, I've created a presentation, and I would go a bit quick on the presentation because I want to spend more time on question and answers with you, right? So if you have any questions on the presentation after each slide, please feel free. I don't want to stop you from asking me questions on each slide, right? We can take it ahead, but I will try to limit the questions during the presentation so that we have more time after it. Great. So I'll not waste more time and directly head to the presentation. Let me know if my screen is visible. I hope you guys can see this. Abhay, is it perfectly visible? Great. So the subject we are talking about today is marketing for startups. Now, I will try to focus more on startups. I've also worked at companies like large corporations and all these things, but we'll try to stick to startups. So here in this presentation, we are going to talk about where to start, basically. So I'm also a mentor for a lot of startups, and I see a lot of founders and young guys have a very basic question: where to start, right? Hence, I've structured this presentation on how to create a business plan first. You see, marketing is not about how to use tools, how to say, a lot of people have a misconception with digital marketing, like, okay, you should know this tool, these particular set of tools, and then you can start doing things, right? But it's not so. Marketing is all about storytelling, right? Now, what is storytelling? Every business has a purpose, right? Like how this is how Steve Jobs used to define. Purpose is very important for any business, for any individual also. Now, what is your purpose? You're creating a product to solve a particular problem. You should know the problem first, right? You should know your customers who are having problems. And when you know all these things, you can create your purpose. You can define your purpose. And your purpose would be to solve those problems and make sure that the customer likes your product, right? So how do you come to all these things? How do you define your purpose? How do you define your customers? So I would like to start with customer discovery, which is one of the most important things for any marketer, right? How do you discover your customer? Now, for this, I'm taking an example of Lean Canvas. Lean Canvas is a concept created by Ash Maurya, based out of California, US. And this is about creating a one-page business model. Now, this is useful for founders as well as marketers and sales guys to understand what to consider while defining your customer or target audience. How do you come to that area, right? I'll show you the business model. Now, this is an eight stage, I would say, business model, 8 or 9, right? Where basically, creating, you can go ahead and create 20, 30 pages of long business models. I've done that. I know how hectic that is, but it'll keep confusing you. It'll keep confusing you what you want to put, how do you go about it. And I would recommend you create a very simple one-page business model. This should be the start, the first step of defining your messaging, right? Defining your storyline. Now, what is this business model? This is called as Lean Canvas, which consists of your customer segments and early adopters on the right. I'll explain each what all these mean, right? On the left-hand side, you have your problem and existing alternatives. Below, you have your cost structure, revenue stream. Then you have your solutions, your key metrics, your unfair advantage channels. Now, if you see, this covers the whole concept of your product, of your purpose, if you are able to define these properly. So when you are creating a product in the market or you want to market a product, first thing you have to see is customer segment and early adopters. Now, customer segment is pretty self-explanatory. You have to basically understand who your customers are in the market. If you're creating, for instance, you're creating an expense management product or a logistics management product or whatsoever, right? So you need to understand which would be the right people who would pay you the right value for using your product. Right? That's how you define your customer segment. Now, what are early adopters? Early adopters is basically a framework of what type of customers you need to target, what type of prospects that you need to target in the market. So there are 3 types of prospects: the completely unaware one, and I would say the people who don't want to use your product. They are a right fit, but they don't want your product. Then you have your early adopters, and then you have your active buyers. This is also a term coined by Ash Maurya. I'll share some links also. Sorry about that. Early adopters are the ones who are aware of a problem that they have, but are not actively searching for solutions. Don't know that there are solutions which can help them solve a problem. And there are active buyers. Active buyers are the people who know their problem, who know what solution they want to go for, and they're evaluating solutions. So in a buying cycle, the most important people for you are early adopters. This make up of 67 to 70% of the customer segments you want to target. And these are the people who would actually be easier to convert and could be considered as low-hanging fruit for every company. So it is important that you identify your early adopters. Then after these 2 steps, you have to go to problem and existing alternatives, right? Now, problem is basically when you have identified a set of customers, you have to research on what are the problems they might be facing. Now, these 2 are interchangeable: problem and existing alternatives. Currently, every customer is doing some process. So I'm sorry, but I'm being a bit B2B focused right here. The same thing can be replicated for B2C, but let's consider B2B for now, for the sake of explanation, right? So existing alternatives are the systems, processes, or say solutions the customers are currently using. So you have to identify these existing alternatives. There could be a software that these people are using. For instance, you're selling an expense management software. The customers are already using an expense management software, but they're not liking it. So the problems are basically what they're not liking about the existing alternatives. Or if they're not using any solution, they're doing it manually, then what are the hassles of doing it manually? What are the problems they're facing while, like for instance, TAT would be one big problem, because when you're doing things manually, it might take longer. There are a lot of errors. So these could be defined as problems, right? So customer segments, early adopters, problem, existing alternatives. These are the four most important parts in this particular canvas that you have to define first. And then when you have defined all these things, you come to the part which is solution. How will you solve these problems, right? You have to basically pen down all the features and functionalities of of your product, of your service, or whatever you are proposing, which can solve customers' problem and are better than the current alternatives they have, right? And these basically also become your unique value proposition going ahead, right? Now, unique value proposition is the thing, but how will you turn an unaware visitor into an interested customer? Basically, this is your selling point, what we call as USP or UVP, based on what industry you fall under. So once you know that you can provide this solution to this particular problem of a customer who's already using a system, and you can do it better than the current system, or if they're not using a system, you have a unique advantage of pushing your product, right? So that's how you define your unique value proposition when you understand these areas. And key metrics, how will you measure the success of your product or service? List the key metrics. Key metrics are nothing but the ROI. ROI is a return of investment. So if you're pitching a product to a customer, what is the benefits the customer is going to see down the line after implementing your solution or buying your product or service, right? So you have to define those key metrics which would attract the customer. Similarly, what is your high level concept? How does your product or service fit into the grand scheme of things? That means high level concept is nothing but a tagline. Tagline is nothing but a basic one statement which defines your product, defines your service, right? So here, once you have all the things clear, you'll be able to define your tagline, your high level concept. We'll go to all these points in further in the presentation. Unfair advantages is nothing but again comparison with the current products in the market, which is the competition in the market. Again, when you know the existing alternatives and problems of the customers, you will know where you are better, and that makes you that gives you an advantage over other competitors. Channels is again when you have all these things clear in your mind: unique value proposition, high level concept, unfair advantage, your solution. Basically, these define your messaging, your brand messaging. When your brand messaging is clear, you define the channels which you would use to reach out to your target segment, which is customer segment or early adopters. Right now, there could be a lot of channels. We'll discuss that later, but basically, the most important area here is customer segment, early adopters, problem, existing alternatives. Right now, cost structure and revenue stream. This is basically what is the cost of operating your product, what is the cost of creating, building your product, and running your organization, and what would be your revenue stream, or how would you price your product, right? So this is a different area. Now, going ahead, any questions here? If anyone wants to ask a question on this, I would be happy to take it. I want to make it interactive. No questions? Cool. I'll go ahead then. Okay. So once you have created, again, this is from the scratch, right? How you are building your company, how you're defining everything in your organization, right? You make a business plan, then you do SWOT analysis. I'm sure a lot of people here might be aware of what SWOT analysis is. This is basically how you define your competitive position in the market. You analyze your strengths, weakness, and opportunities, threats, right? And then based on this you make sure that your communication and messaging is perfectly refined, right? Here you define your message. Here you do more analysis. You can skip this step if you want to. You can simply use this particular sheet to define everything, but just giving you for the sake of information, I'm telling you what this is about, right? Your strengths, weakness, opportunities, strength. Now, what are your strengths? What advantage does your company have? Again, the same thing which is there in lean canvases. It's your unfair advantage part. or do you do better than anyone else? Now, you once you have defined it here, you know how to basically refine it further. Your weaknesses is basically, while defining all these things, you might come across certain weaknesses that your product, your company has. You have to highlight these weaknesses here. What things to do your competitors do better than you, right? You should know your weaknesses better so that you can highlight your strengths in a better way. Opportunities are what changes in technologies, policies, and social patterns can be a growth opportunity for the customer. These are nothing but basically uh, trigger points, right? Trigger events is a term which is normally used. What are the market trends? What are trigger events? Like COVID-19 is a trigger event for a lot of companies to go digital now or paperless. So these are opportunities that you need to identify in the market, that okay, these are seasonal. And for say e-commerce companies, right, for B2C startups, seasonal events, seasonal sales, and all those patterns basically becomes opportunities where you want to make sure that you leverage the most out of it. And threats are the obstacles that your company to your growth, right? Threat can be internal, external. There are multiple types of threats. Threat could be a lot of competitors entering this area, a lot of startups popping up in this domain, industry. That could be a threat. Government policies, regional policies, regional obstacles, right? That could be a threat. If you want to expand in different markets, so local barriers could be a threat. There are a lot of threats that you can identify, and once you do this, your SWOT will be basically complete. Once you are clear, I'm going a bit fast, so please do tell me if you want more clarification on certain points, right? Abhay, is it clear? Yeah, cool. So going ahead is, once you have defined your business plan, you've done your SWOT analysis, and that's when you can basically focus on building your brand, right? Mission, vision, and values basically state your company's mission, vision, and values. What are these things, right? This is your brand message, a very high level message, which you saw here in early adopters, your high level concept. So your company's purpose is set in these three terms. So you have to define a purpose, considering the market based on the SWOT analysis, based on all the research, come up with a brand communication. How do you do that? The mission statement is basically, it's the main purpose of your existence, of your company's existence. Here, if you see the definition, mission is the reason why your company exists. It is the visible and tangible effect or you want your company to create for your customers and the world. There is one, basically, your purpose should be very tangible, and that is to solve your customers' problems. And the high level purpose is to make the world a better place. You might be listening to this term, you might be coming across this term, right, in every startup pitch. Any founder who's pitching, basically an investor would use this term. I want to make the world a better place. Everyone wants to do that. That's a default mission statement for all the companies who are starting up, right? But I would say a tangible mission is very important, right? You can make the world a better place. That's a secondary thing. The primary is, how can you help your customers? How can you help people? How can you simplify their lives? These are the little and more important things that you should focus on while creating your mission. And for instance, if you see all the big brands in the world, LG or Apple, you can check on all the FMCD taglines. FMCD is consumer durable products, and their statement: "Life is easy, making life simpler, one step at a time." These are basically the taglines, high level taglines that people keep to connect with the customers. Right? Vision is basically vision is how you perceive success. What do you see? Where do you see your company growing? Right. So your vision is what success looks like for your company. It is what your company aspires to be in the future. It is how the world will look like when once you have accomplished your mission. Right. So it's like a step ahead of mission, where you define, okay, if we achieve our mission, this is how we would look like, this is how the world would look like. And values are basically the values your company runs on. These are the principles, the processes, everything that you set up, which will help your company achieve the mission and the vision that you see. So three very strong areas that you should focus on, because a lot of companies, especially in India, I would like to highlight this. I've come since I've also a consultant to a lot of startups, also some large organizations. I see that they miss out on defining mission, vision, and values. It's like a statement they simply Google what should be some good mission statements, what should be some good vision statements, and they put it in their presentation done for the management, right? This is our mission, vision, and values to create. It should not be like that, right? A lot of people would do not focus on these areas, but this is an area which builds companies like Apple, right? Companies like Samsung, the large Google, or say Amazon. You have to instill a purpose in a company, and that purpose comes when you have a very strong business plan in place, very good analysis of your strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats, areas, and then you put down the right mission, vision, and value statement. This is your messaging. This will build your company from scratch, right? The reason I focused on a lot of marketers do not focus much on these areas because they think it comes under the business strategy part and all this. But I think for marketer, it is very important that you start from scratch and then understand everything, do your analysis. That's when you will come up with a good storyline, right? Like I said before I started this, marketing is nothing but a storytelling. It's like you create a story and you convey the story to your customers, right? Now going to some management fundamentals, which is 4 P's of marketing. Once you have defined your business plan, your strengths, your vision, and that's when you come to how you position yourself in the market, right? Again, a very basic management fundamental, which a lot of people in MBA and marketing would be aware of, like how you position your product in the market using the 4 P's of market. The 4 P's illustrate your product, price, promotion, and place, right? What is your product? Again, now if you see the connection, once we have defined the one-page canvas perfectly, you know what your product is, you know the place you want to be at because you know your customer segment, you know what pricing you should set to achieve that, and you will know how to promote through the channels. You know everything. Now you have to place it perfectly, make a big plan, a strategy using all these three, right? The product is nothing but your brand features, your packaging, whatever you are promoting in the market. Is it, you must have done your product market fit exercise already. You have your MVP ready. That is your product. Now your pricing is basically based on, here it is mentioned price, discounts, bundling deals, credit terms. This is basically market offer pricing. There are 2 types of pricing strategies: marketing skimming pricing, or the other one I don't remember the name exactly. But basically, one pricing strategy is to price your product so low so that you can enter the market easily. The other one is when you have an advantage, when you have done your research here, you know that you have a lot of unfair advantage in the market. What you do is you price your product with a premium, right? And that is called as market skimming strategy. The other one is market penetration strategy, right? So you when you have everything clear, your purpose, your business plan in place, you'll be able to define the right strategies that you want to adopt to enter the market, right? The third one is promotion. Basically, it's nothing but once you have defined your pricing, once you know what your product is, once you know your customer segment, you want to define how you reach these customers, right? Through promotion. Now, in reaching these customers, we know that we can run advertisements digitally or offline in papers, in periodicals, right? We can do PR. I will touch this area again because PR is a very important factor for startups, and I would like to go more in depth on how you can do it. Then you have your social media, so you can devise a good social media strategy based on your product, based on your features. So for B2B softwares and all those markets, you can break down your product into different themes, the different areas it is basically helping customers on, and then you can create a nice social calendar which can talk about all your product features the whole week and months, right? Like that. Similarly, your email and videos could be promotional, how videos, how to guides, etc. There are so many different types of videos that you can create. email marketing campaigns, there are nurturing campaigns, cold reach out campaigns. We'll talk about that later. So this is how you can promote your product and to reach the right audience, right? And the place is basically your where are you showcasing your product? Is it an offline thing? If you have a store, is it an online website or just for software companies and SaaS companies where users can come in, sign up, and start using the product or go for a trial, do a demo, or is it an online marketplace that you run? It's an e-commerce website, whatever your place is. That's basically where you promote your products, or basically, list your products, right? These are the four P's of marketing. I'm not going in depth because it's a very common concept. A lot of people know about it, but right now, it is in connection with the first step, which is your business plan. Once you have that defined, this becomes easier going down. Now, this might be a new concept for a lot. A few who are good avid readers would know about it. Pirate funnel. Pirate funnel is nothing but it's more like a decision funnel or a promotional funnel that you can have. Basically you visualize your company's weak points or your positive points in a funneled format, right? So this particular concept was coined by Dave McClure, and it shows what you need to focus on to optimize your marketing funnel, right? Now, the reason why I've kept this in upper hierarchy while going down the floor is because you need to make sure that you understand your marketing funnel. Before making a funnel, you use the right methodologies, right framework to explore this, right? So it is called as R, that is ARRR, like pirates, which stands for awareness, acquisition, activation, retention, referral, and revenue, right? This is how the funnel is made up. In awareness is basically how you will introduce your company to your potential customers. Impressions, click through rates, these are all the campaign type. So basically, whenever we talk about marketing, I always tell people that you should have a default funnel in your mind, right, for new products. Now, or if you're expanding in a new market, the default funnel starts with awareness, right? It's going to be a large funnel. And all your campaigns, all your strategies should be to make people aware of your technology, right? If you have identified your customer segments, industries that you want to target, what the first thing you need to do is make these people aware of your presence in the market. You should know that, okay, this XYZ product it's a new product in the market, and it seems to be good because it covers a lot of features which we don't know about, right? So that's how you make them aware. And awareness comes through different channels, right? You can use social media to make them aware. You can use PR. Now, PR becomes very important here, right? For mass awareness, you can have an ATL kind of campaign, right? Above the line PR, mass awareness campaign, or you can have a very specific BTL campaign, very measured campaign for awareness. Depends on what industry you fall under. If you're a B2B or B2C, awareness will differ. The ways how you make your customers aware would basically depend on that. Comes after awareness comes acquisition. Acquisition is now where your potential customers coming from. You need to understand that when you do awareness campaigns, how are you acquiring traffic, either to your website or to your store, or whatever your main metric is. How are you acquiring these people? You need to know this. What channel is driving the best results when you do awareness campaigns? Where are you getting the best traffic from? Identify those things, right? And then comes the activation part. How will your potential customers try? So if you are, for instance, if you're a SaaS product, you have your free trial sign up or product demo sign ups, different types of actions that you would like your customers to take. So this can also be called as the BCFD funnel, which is the buyer-centric funnel design. There is another BCFD funnel concept down after this slide, but here it is awareness, consideration, and action. Right? Awareness, acquisition, activation can be synonymous to that. Activation is action. Basically, what is the kind of action the customers are taking, the prospects are taking on your website? And after going ahead after that, once you have acquired a customer, what is your retention like? Are your customers dropping? Is there a high churn rate? Are you identifying it at the right moment? Why are they churning? You need to know everything, right? How many are churning? What is your churn percentage? These are all the questions the investors are also going to ask you. going ahead, like when you are on the Series A level, right? Well, you should know your churn rate, you should know everything. The going down is revenue. What is the revenue increase? How can you increase revenue from existing customers? What is your account management strategies? Do you have a right key account management team in place, right? And then referral is basically when you make your customers into your advocates and evangelists. Very important area for both B2B and B2C segment, right? You should have good advocates. So, for instance, you have an e-commerce site selling products. You should make sure that the kind of experience you give to your customer, that particular customer should become your advocate and tell everyone, okay, if you're buying this product, don't shit around and just go for this particular website. It is one of the best in the market, right? So you have to make sure that you do right analysis. So in referrals, you can see NPS, Net Promoter Score, is a very important measure. You need to I will not get deeper into Net Promoter Score because it's an important area which can be touched again later on. But NPS is an important way. You know what your customer thinks about you. Is he someone who can become an advocate or an evangelist, or would he churn? All these things can be known from surveys like NPS. Right. Again, so I've been blabbering a lot during the, and as I said, I will go fast because I want to go towards the question and answer session. If you have any questions so far, please go ahead and ask. Please don't shy away. You can ask anything. I don't mind if even if the question is very dumb or very advanced. You can feel free to ask me. Let's keep it interactive, right? So I'll just wait for 5 seconds. If anyone has a question, please ask, or else I'll go ahead. Okay, can you tell me your name again? Abhay, okay. Abhay, you have a question. Great. Ah, okay, you're talking about mission, vision, and value, right? Right. So values is your principle, your internal values that you set. So these are basically here it's written. These are the guiding principles that will influence your actions to fulfill your company's missions. So, like for instance, you have a set of policies that HR creates in an organization. Those are the values basically. Those policies come from what your values are. So the values are can be divided into two parts. One is the internal values. Once you set your internal values, proper set of values, guidelines, and policies, that boils down to your customer facing values also, like the external values. When your employees talk to customers, what should be their main focus? Should they be customer focused or revenue focused? How should they interact with the customers, right? So these are basically internal values set, but this also impacts how your sales team function, how your marketing language is, how your communication is, right? So it's both basically, but it is done internally at the company level. That's the reason why mission, vision, values come first when you are setting up an organization, when you are planning your go to market strategy. uh, does that answer your question a bit? No problem. So I'll go ahead then to marketing funnel after our pirate funnel. Now, marketing funnel, nothing but basically the stages of the customer journey with your BCFD affiliates, right? So BCFD is your buyer centric funnel design, which is very similar to pirate funnel. Now, one thing before I go ahead, I would like to tell you guys there are a lot of frameworks in the market. You'll find BCFD funnel. In BCFD funnel, you'll find the model proposed by David Scott, who is one of the influencers who basically talks more about BCFD. Then you might find a funnel by HubSpot, which is very famous, IDA. So there might be a lot of frameworks in the market, but when you know what you want to tell your customers, no matter which framework you adopt, it's going to give you the same results. So nothing is wrong, nothing is right. There are multiple frameworks. You can study each. Similarly, you have frameworks in sales for qualification, customer qualification, which is called as BAND. Then there is JAMP. Then there is leader model, challenger model. Then there is MEDIC. There are multiple frameworks. So nothing is like this works, then that does not work. Everything works. It's just that you need to identify your messaging, your industry, and then decide which works best for you. right? Similarly, like I showed you the pilot funnel, this marketing funnel is also very similar, which is basically, I call it BCFD funnel, not just me, everyone does, by David Scott. You can read about it. There are a lot of articles. Just search for David Scott in marketing, you'll find it. What it is basically the top of the funnel awareness, middle of the funnel consideration, and bottom of the funnel action. Very similar to this activation, awareness, acquisition, and activation, right? We call it awareness, consideration, and action, or you could call it awareness, interest, desire, and action. A lot of different frameworks, but this is the simplest way of explaining it, right? So top of the funnel are the basic activities that you do for awareness. Now these activities might involve social media posts, ads, email marketing, promotional videos, press releases. You want to make users aware of your product. Then you want to make help them consider, right? Create a desire or interest in your product, and this would always be with offers, discounts, exclusive offers for B2C section, and comparison sheets, success stories, and demos for the B2B industries. These things basically would intrigue, would trigger desire and interest in your customers, who you are making them aware by different other campaigns on the top of the funnel. They will consider your product, and then comes the action part. The action is basically what is the kind of action you want your customer to take. For B2C e-commerce, all those companies, action would be direct purchase. They're purchasing the product. And for B2B, it could be they're subscribing to your newsletters, they are downloading a case study, that's a success story that you had founded them. They are signing up for a free trial or a free demo, or they're directly going for a subscription plan, basic or advanced, or they want to talk to your customer, to your sales team, or pilot with your product. Pilot means just go for a free 3 months proof of concept kind of thing, right? So this is how you define your funnel specifically in B2B or B2C. What is your buyer journey? You need to understand your buyer journey, and based on that, you can define these funnels, and you can have all your content and all your websites, campaigns made in alliance with this funnel, right? Uh, After you have basically defined all these things, your pilot funnel, your buyer centric, how it should look like, you should visualize it. Open up lucid charts, or just take a pen and paper and create a chart, create a diagram, create a flow. How, what is that you're looking for? You know your customer segment, you know your product. Now you need to explore how you can attract your users onto different channels, and what should be your communication at each stage. I'll give you an example. For example, if I'm selling a logistics product, logistics management software, my customer segment is all logistics companies, large organization which has who take care of their logistics, 3PL logistics companies, right? This is my customer segment. I identify these segments using different tools. I can go to LinkedIn and identify uh, people, companies, logistics departments, and all those players, and create an audience list. I can go to Facebook, do the same thing. I can target using keywords of people, intent driven traffic, that is through SEM, search engine marketing. And so I can use AdWords to create campaigns on such certain keywords where people are looking for such solutions, right? So through there, I can get everything, all the traffic to my website, landing pages. Now, this campaign, which I'm using for awareness, will talk about certain things. The language will be top of the funnel. That means awareness level. Awareness is, we are one of the best logistics management products in the market. We are AI enabled logistics planning technology, right? All these terms you use to attract them, to create an awareness that we are doing this. And during awareness, you can also use terms like, we can help you save certain things, certain percentage on certain planning areas, right? We can help you reduce the delivery delays and all those things. So for a logistics tech product, you can target the problem areas from your canvas, target the existing alternative problems, and create an awareness statement for you, right? That's the top of the funnel for you, awareness. Now, once you've created this awareness, people click, show interest, come to your website. That's your second stage. You need to make sure that you have right content on your website, landing pages, or emails, which can trigger interest in the customers, in the visitors. They should feel that they're at the right place. That is very important. That they clicked on something, they read about you somewhere on the PR probably, and they came to your website. Now your website should be in accordance to your first communication, awareness communication, and go in depth into the funnel. Now, when you told people that we are the best logistics software, now when they click and come to your website, they should show why, what makes you the best. Right. So how do you define what makes you the best? You define it by content types like we help you save here. We have so many features within the product. This is what the customers tell us, talk about us. This is what the PR, the media or press releases world is talking about us, right? And we are funded by these two. That's how you develop trust and make sure that you're targeting the right audience with the right communication, right? And create interest by saying that, okay, this particular company, there are success stories, right? This particular company like you used our product and they are now saving this much. That will basically create interest and desire within the customer, the visitor, and that will help them take an action. The action would be, why don't so we have been saving so and so amount of money for this particular customer. Why don't you take a free trial and see for yourself, right? That's your action content. A free trial would definitely show ROIs. ROI is return of investment. Return of investment would be in types of, like, if I buy this product for $1,000, I save almost $50,000 down the line, like in the year, in my logistics management, right? So those would be your action stage content. So you have to design your website in a way that is in accordance with your awareness campaigns that you're running. Your campaigns should be in accordance to your website content, and then the nurturing emails and all those communication that you send out should also be in accordance to what you're pitching to your customers in awareness, right? Going down the strategy, tactics, and execution. So once you have everything in place, right, you know your strategy, you know your business plan, you know your target audience, you know everything that you have researched, you know your weaknesses through your SWOT, you have everything in place. That's when you create a strategy. Now, what is a strategy? It's nothing but you identify the channels that you would use to reach out to your customers, online as well as offline. Online would be digital mediums like social media, like your search engine marketing, Google AdWords, Google pages, your sponsored campaigns through different partnerships, alliances that you have with different platforms like your story or any aggregator to get traffic. And then offline would be like your offline PR, your events and conferences that you run offline. Nowadays, everything is online though, but that could be your strategy. That's how you can define your strategy. These are the channels that we need to use to reach out to our customers. And how will you use this channel? Tactics would be the specific methods, resources, techniques. Like, I'll create landing pages which are amazing, when that will be used for my campaigns, and what other techniques I could use to measure what users are doing on my website, right? How would I execute them? How would you imply your tactics? My tactics are basically, I'll do this, and then your execution plan. Basically, how would you execute? I would need a resource to create a website. I would need a resource to basically manage my performance advertisement, and I would basically need an agency probably for content designing. Whatever your execution plan is, you have to create a strategy, how you want to do it, what are the tactics basically, and how will you execute the strategy. This is an important area. Once you have, so it becomes easy when you have followed a structure, like I mentioned, and then when you devise this thing, the next stage goes to your. So sorry, I've just put the product market fit funnel here for people who want to know, but I'll skip this because I believe you already had a session on product market fit, right? By Mr. Das, I believe. So I'll skip this. This is basically nothing but showing the funnel, and it can be the same in Lean Canvas also. You can explore that part. So I'll skip this part. I'll go to buyer personas. Buyer personas are nothing but you understanding your buyer in depth. Now, again, buyer personas are relevant for B2C as well as B2B. One thing I'd like to tell you again, I don't believe in B2C and B2B, right? I don't believe that you belong to B2C, so you cannot do B2B, or B2B and B2C are very different. These are just terms coined for our understanding, for our segmentation, for so that we can follow a niche. But for a marketer, it is all about storytelling. The story could be for a B2B brand, a story could be for a B2C brand, right? It is all about your how you strategize. It is all about how you create your business plan. Now, the channels would differ, your communication would differ, and all these things would differ. But the concept and the frameworks would always be the same. Right. Similarly, giving you an example here in buyer personas. Now, see, for instance, you are an FMCG product. Do buyer persona. You map different personas in a house. There's a mother. There's a father. There are mother and father become decision makers. Children become influencers, right? And grandfathers, grandmothers could become influencers too. So that's how you map your buyer personas, and this helps you refine your communication when you're reaching out to all these personas at every stage, right? So here, basically, when you talk about buyer persona, it's demographics, demography. It would be gender, age, statuses, or if you can simply bifurcate it to businesses or direct consumers, however you want to set it up. But demography is one part. Buying roles. Now let me give you an example of B2B business. Buying roles would be different departments in an organization. So again, if I'm a logistics management product, for me, buying roles would be decision makers who would be like the probably the VPs, SVPs, or above them the CEOs, CXO level of logistics department. And then your procurement heads would also be a decision maker in the process. Then influencers would be your users, someone who's using who use different products. They like your product, they would influence the decision makers, right? Or different other departments can be influencers who are loosely connected to logistics planning, and that gets affected. So that's how you map your different departments in an organization and by roles. Then goals and responsibilities of each decision maker or each persona, right? You have four different personas. One is a decision maker, one is an influencer, one is a user, right? And one is say whatever the persona you want to create. So what are the goals and responsibilities of each persona department wise? Every persona has their own goals and responsibilities. For a senior management person, CXO level guy, their goals and responsibilities would be different. Their goals would be P&L related, profit and loss, how would this save me money, and all those things, right? For a user persona, the goals would be how can I reduce my task, how can I do work better, how can I make sure that I am delivering more packages in a certain period of time, right? Similarly, for procurement, the goals and responsibilities would be different. They want the best product for the best price for their department. They want to negotiate best, and they want to get the best deal out of it. So you should know all these things while setting up all the personas, because based on this, your communication changes in the BCFD funnel, that I showed you before, right? The buyer's journey is the BCFD funnel, exactly: awareness, consideration, purchase, and advocacy that I told you. This is when you have your buyer persona set properly, each buyer journey would be different. Right? Every person who's coming to your website would look for a different type of content. For a procurement guy, he would be more interested in looking at the pricing area of the product, right? And for a logistics user, he would be more interested checking the feature pages. Similarly, for CXO guys, they would be more interested in checking testimonials. What other people are saying? How are other companies saving what? Right. So you need to make sure you have different buckets of personas defined. And then it is not very difficult. I know it sounds very complicated, but it's not very complicated when you have everything defined, when you have every list created, when you have your business plan, your communication, your purpose defined. This is not a very big deal. You can create, map other personas, and then make sure that you have all types of content on your website for people to come and consume, right? So here comes it. The channel is basically how would you target different personas and what how, on what channels and how, right? Content that influences purchase decision, sources of information. This is how you create blogs basically. So blogs is a good example, right? You create one blog which is focused around the benefits of the product and on a very high level, which can be consumed easily by CXO level guys. You have one blog which is very technical in nature, which would show how to basically do a particular process using your product. So that would be focused around the user persona. You have one product which is comparison with different products, one blog basically which compares your product with other competitors and give you best pricing. That would be targeted towards the procurement persona. That's how you basically map and define, segment your content on the website and all the communication based on different personas. Frustrations, needs, and objections are basically, this will happen. This you will understand once you start talking to the customers. You can never assume the frustrations, right? I always recommend people at early stage to start, which also comes in your product market fit area, is taking interviews. When you have an MVP, when you have product that you want to launch, you talk to you when you identified the customer segment. You talk to these guys and understand what their frustrations are, what their needs are, how can they object to your product or other products, what are they looking for. You can easily map these. So this is a framework how you can identify buyer personas, right? Now going ahead, I'll try to be more quick because this is taking time with a lot of slides. I tried to make little less slides, but marketing is a very huge domain. So there's so much that I can talk about. Hence, going next to the measurement part. What is measurement? Basically, when you have everything in place, you're running campaigns. You want to measure the effectiveness of your campaigns, right? Periodically, weekly. So I remember we used to measure everything on a weekly basis, so that we can iterate, change campaigns based on the weekly performances. So see, for instance, you're doing a Facebook campaign. You're running a campaign, ad campaign for signups, and you're using a particular ad copy, which is not working. So when you do three different campaigns, always do ABC testing. Whenever you're running a campaign, you should have three variations of your ad copies and communication to see which communication works best. And then the ones which are not working, you change them. So that is called as measurement, right? You measure the effectiveness. How do you measure? All the tools in the market current today give you analytics module. So if you're running campaigns directly on Facebook Business Manager, you'll see all the analytics, right? Who saw, what were the clicks, what is the number of leads that you got, all these metrics. So how do you measure? What should you measure? One major thing I always tell people is always use Google Analytics, best and the most feasible tool, free of cost available in the market. Set up everything and continuously measure these areas. Very important areas: total visits, that is sessions, who's coming, traffic, that is, right? Users, new and returning users to your website. Entry and exit funnel, that means which page did the user land on and what are the exit pages, right? See, for someone, for an example, someone landed on a blog. From blog, they started navigating, coming to product pages, and they dropped down on contact us page. They did not sign up. You should know that, right? Then session and duration on each page, the users who are coming, what is the kind of time they're spending and how many pages are they seeing, all these information. Channel and region is basically the traffic channels that you see, from where the users are coming from. This channel, traffic channel and region area, gives you a very important analysis of the campaigns that you're running, right? This basically, when you set it properly in Google Analytics, it'll show social media is giving you this much, referrals are giving you this much, then your paid campaigns, AdWords are giving you this much traffic. So you know the effectiveness of your campaigns, right? And region basically gives you an idea when you're setting demography, user personas, buyer personas basically. So you want to reach out to users in a set or region. But what if you are getting traffic from different regions? Why is that so? It will help you refine your campaigning basically. And what are the conversions you're getting on a website? So if you're an e-commerce site, then what are the number of purchases, like transaction which are made on the website? B2B, it will be basically the signups that are happening on the website, right? And these are basically the funnel that you should. This is a very basic. I'm talking about very basic. When you go in depth into analytics, there are free courses for Google Analytics by Google. Please take that up if you're interested. You'll find how to use each and every area and module of Google Analytics, right? Now, important campaign measures, I've just listed it down instead of making a different slide. For ad campaigns, you can always measure the CPM, which is cost per measurement, cost per impression, right? When you have impression-based campaign, what does that mean is basically there are banners, images that you run on different websites. So per impression is basically once it is load. So the charges that these ad mediums basically they charge you is based on 1,000 impressions. So CPM is basically per 1,000 impression what is the dollar price or the rupee price that is being charged. CPC is click based. So when you this is the second mode of charging that they do, where if you see an advertisement and you click, the per click cost is counted. CTR is click through rate. So when you are running a campaign, say by Google AdWords, and you do a search campaign, and when the search pops up, click through rate is basically what is the percentage of people who are clicking through your ad. You should know all these things. And the cost CPL is cost per lead. Cost per lead is nothing but the lead that you're acquiring. How much is that lead costing you? So why these four are important is basically you can negotiate with all the vendors also that you're working with for ads that I want to work on this model or that model, depending on the stage that you are at. If you're doing awareness campaigns, I would always refer CPM so that you get the maximum amount of impression, get your logo in front of people, get more eyeballs, right? Similarly, email, when you're doing an email campaign, I've not mentioned the delivery rate, but there are four major metrics that you should measure, starting from delivery rate, open rate, click rate, and bounce rate. Right? What is open rate? People who are clicking and opening your email. Click rate is if you have links within the email. Are people clicking those links? And bounce rate is when you send an email, how many emails have bounced. So you should make sure that your bounce rate is always very low, below 2% to have an effective campaign. And on the landing page, it is conversion rate. So how convertible is your landing page? There are a lot of articles available online on how to make effective landing pages. You can refer those, right? Going ahead, conversion metrics for B2B. Now, in these are very common terms for SaaS B2B companies, software companies. Lead, MQL, SQL, opportunity, customer, evangelist. Lead is when here you are running campaigns, you're getting conversions. This is the last stage, which is conversion in website analytics. This conversion becomes a lead for you in the system. Now, this lead you should basically evaluate based on BANT, CHAMP, and different frameworks, and talk to them and see if there is a true need. It's not a fake lead or it's not a junk lead or wrong information, right? If it is a perfect lead and they're interested in exploring further, it becomes an MQL. Once it becomes an MQL, you start talking to them more. You give them a demo. You understand, right? Their requirement. There is a requirement gathering session. Everything matches perfectly with your desired customer profile. Then it becomes an SQL. SQL is where the sales team basically pitches in. They try to convince them. They show them values. It's all value selling after that, right? And then one, if the customer is ready to negotiate, check the pricing, talk to you further in terms of a free trial or probably go beyond free trial to a paid pilot, it becomes an opportunity. And opportunity is where, so opportunity means it's a very hot customer. It's going to convert anytime now. You have to just make sure that you talk to them, connect them, follow up in the right manner, and they become your customer. Once they become your customer, make sure that you give them the best service available to convert them into evangelists so that whoever they talk to, they should promote your product. Evangelists are the advocates or referrals, right? This is an internal lead to conversion, lead to customer kind of funnel. And it becomes very important when you talk about marketing automation, right? When you want to automate everything in using tools like I've mentioned, HubSpot, Marketo, MailChimp, you set automations based on these stages. Right? And this also is aligned to BCFD funnel, the whole lead to evangelist part, where each stage you have your different types of communication going out to make sure that they get the right information to help them convert further in the funnel. This is a perfect B2B sales funnel. Right. Going ahead, some tools and then end of my presentation. Sorry, I thought it would take 30 minutes, but took way longer than that. Right. So tools, just some example and references. You have your Google Suite, which is Webmaster Analytics, AdWords, and Studio. Webmaster is for web auditing, web analytics. And then Google Analytics is for complete analytics of your website traffic and everything. AdWords is to run campaigns. Studio is one tool for ad copies and all those things. HubSpot is a marketing automation tool with sales and service automation also in place. It's a complete suite for any startup. I would recommend going for HubSpot. I'm an evangelist of HubSpot because I've been using it extensively in all the organization I consult, and it's amazing, gives you good results. Similarly, Marketo is on a higher side in terms of pricing, good marketing automation tool. Salesforce, same marketing automation and sales. Lead Feeder is a lead generation and analytics. It tells you who has visited your website, right? If you install the snippet JavaScript on your website, it will tell you which companies users are coming from. By reverse DNS lookup, it identifies the IP, and if there is a private IP, public IP, listed, it tells you which company came. Sales Intel, purely lead generation for B2B, amazing tool for SaaS software companies, tells you which companies are using what products, good technographic information about all the companies. Lucky, it's not Lucy, but it's Lucky. Lucky Orange gives you web analytics and UX visualization. What users are doing on your platform, basically. Albacross, user intelligence again, and ABM campaigning. Moz is SEO content by Rand Fiskin. You can check out these websites. SEO Power Suite, again, a very good suite of all the digital marketing products any digital marketing would require. Consists of 4 different products, very cheap, can be easily used. Kissmetrics, again, very cheap product, good by Brian, and it gives you web analytics and SEO. Hootsuite is a social listening tool. There are multiple other tools also, but Hootsuite is one of the most favored and easy to use tool for FB, LinkedIn, Insta, and Twitter. Again, typo, it's Twitter listening. So this is more of it from the presentation part. There are so many different things I couldn't cover. See, as you can see, the presentation took almost more than an hour's time, where I thought it would be 30 minutes. But I would, again, if it is fine, Abhay, I would like to take questions. I can spend 30 more minutes. I personally feel there is so much more, especially in the B2B part, which is my core expertise area, B2B. So if users have any questions, please shoot. Okay. Okay. Mhm. Okay. Mhm. Okay. Okay. Now there are two aspects here. Okay. One is the data that you have created through campaigning, right? So one quick question here: do you mean the data that I already have in my system, and you want to market on that, or you want to create new data? Okay. So data can be created in two ways, right? Now, one, I'll give you an example of B2B. You have a SaaS product or any software product or any B2B product that you want to sell. Now here, you after doing the exercise that I just showed you, right? The one which is business modeling, and when you have identified your customer segment, what you can do is you can use different tools like Clearbit and like Sales Intel in the market. There are some free tools also, which is very easily available. Just search for tools which can give you data. Identify stakeholder accounts first. Identify the companies that you want to target, which fall under your customer segment. Right? You have researched on the early adopters. You found out through business modeling that these are the companies I want to target. This will give me revenue, and this is what I want to go ahead with. You identify those accounts by searching for companies like in Fortune, like what are the companies which are falling in the Fortune list, or searching for using Sales Intel kind of tool, which will give you what are the companies using currently. Like for instance, I am a competitor of Oracle, and I go and search for companies using Oracle technologies. Right, it will give me a list. You find that like you can easily create a list of 1,000. This is called as ABM, by the way, account-based marketing. I wanted to cover that. That is the very important area for B2B marketers, especially, but couldn't get time. What happens in this is you create a universal wish list first of accounts using your research. Very easy, I'm telling you. Once you have your list, you map your personas, the buyer personas that I gave you, right? You map your personas by mapping, as per a global B2B practice, you should map at least 7 personas in one company. LinkedIn also tells you this, right? When you have 5 to 7 personas, this will be different departments. One is decision maker persona, one is user persona, one would be buyer persona, one would be a different kind of persona, influencer persona, right? You map these people, and after you map these people, you search for their email IDs, their LinkedIn information. You can search the LinkedIn profile using Sales Navigator and all those, or you can use some good tools available online to get their email ID. That's how you create a database ABM list. You have your accounts that you want to target. You have users mapped. Then the users that you map using LinkedIn, you can do all the research. You get their email IDs and create a list. Upload this list either in MailChimp or use HubSpot. There is HubSpot free also version marketing, which gives you 2,000 up to 2,000 contacts upload, and you can start your email campaigns on them. Now, email is one of the best. It's never dying kind of mode of communication of awareness. I use email religiously. There are amazing results that I get. Now, once you have created this data. Now, this is not an opt-in data. Are you aware of opt-in data? Opt-in is basically subscriber data. People who have subscribed. This is not opt-in. No ethics. Let's keep the ethics aside. This is a data that you have created. You make sure using tools like Never Bounce, No Bounce, make sure that the data is accurate and there's no bounce rate. Then you upload it in the system. Now, after uploading in the system, this is a new data and you want to reach out now. Now you follow the BCFD funnel design that I showed. That's the reason I focus on that presentation, right? BCSFD is awareness, interest, desire, action, or awareness, consideration, action, right? You first start with awareness campaigns about your products, services, whatever the thing is, right? Start with that first email campaign. Do the campaign, check the results, metrics, open rates, click rate. The people who have opened the emails are the ones who have shown interest and they've read about you, they've seen. You run a different campaign on those people. That's what ABM lead nurturing and ABM campaigning is. You create a list of accounts, you map the users, and you start reaching out to those users. Now, I've told you one way, which is email. The second way is you reach out to them on LinkedIn. Everyone, connect with them on LinkedIn. Start sending them in mailers. Start reaching out with the right messaging. The third way is offline. You make sure that you're going to events and conferences where these people are present. For B2B, this is the best exercise. Now you come to B2C side of it. Creating data, best way to create data in B2C is people buy lists, people buy affiliations, basically. You try to find out that, okay, my segment is this particular. How do I find the best email list? How do you find? Through aggregators. Aggregators are the people like Your Story. Like these are some content aggregators. Similarly, you have to find right aggregators who would have a right mix of your audience base. Right? Reach out to them through there and make them sign up. Give them an offer, amazing offer that they cannot refuse. Right? I'll make you an offer you cannot refuse types offer, and then get them convert. Once they are in your database, you can start again the same process. You can start offer emails, awareness, consideration, action. Simple. Make them aware. So in B2C, the action is always a purchase, right? For e-commerce companies and all, it's always a purchase. So the whole email is in a BCD format. You make them aware in the first section of the email, give them some very interesting insight in the mid section, the last section, give them an amazing discount offer or anything where they click and they buy, right? And in B2B, all these stages is not in one email. You should have a series of emailers designed because the process is big. There's a sales cycle attached to everything, which could be between 3 months to 12 months. So you have to nurture a lead till that time through email automation. And in B2C, it's simple. You have to hit with one single email first, try to convert as many as possible into customers. Second email will also be in the same format, again converting, right? So that's how you can market on the data. And creating database, as I mentioned, B2B, first account list. Search for account list. Accounts you'll get anywhere. Bloomberg. You can do a lot of multiple combinations, or you can search for tools which are giving you that. Map users using LinkedIn. Get their email IDs using tools like Clearbit, Reveal, Clearbit, Sales Intel. A lot of different tools are available free of cost. Then create a list, upload that list, start marketing. In B2C, it is a bit difficult. You get data, you can buy data from other vendors. You can do partnership to reach out to the set user. And Facebook is very good for B2B, B2C. Facebook marketing. You search for audience, get them convert. Right. Yes, it will happen. Cannot avoid that. So what happens? You're talking about Gmail IDs. People using personal email IDs, right? In personal email IDs, they won't, maximum are using Gmail nowadays. Gmail has a default filter where it will put it in promotion. So MailChimp, all the other tools that you're using will put you there. And that's the reason why email marketing for B2C becomes very, very difficult, inactive. And other campaigns on Facebook and all those areas would be difficult, easier. There's another way of doing things, but it's a bit difficult and it'll limit your capabilities. That's called as sales sequencing. If you're using HubSpot tool like that, don't use their domain. So Mailchimp and all these email vendors, their domains are listed by all the Gmails of the world, right? As promotional and advertisement mails. So you can use your own email, company email. You can use HubSpot's sequencing where there's a limitation of 500 emails a day, and you can set at least, like, so in a week's time, 6 days time, you can do a campaign of 3000 emails, and this particular tool will help you land in the inbox instead of, because it is using your email domain, not HubSpot's email domain. It integrates with your whatever email, GoDaddy or whatever email domain you're using, whichever player, and it'll help you do that. That's a way, but B2C it becomes difficult. If you have a list of 2 lakh, you cannot, well, it's not a feasible way. So you'll have to find vendors who are promising that they land on in the inbox. If you're doing manually, just hope that people do check promotional sections also, right? Mm. Okay. So competitive advertisement, I want more information from you. What are you talking about? Is it a comparison kind of campaign? Hmm. Oh, okay, okay. Hmm. Okay. This is nothing but basically, when you are a brand like McDonald's or Burger King or Pepsi or Coke, right? These are the fights always going on in the world. So there's no competitive analytics there, right? It's all your creativity, story. Like I said, right? Every brand has a story. Now you need to understand the other brand's story to make a cheeky ad like that. Right? It's not a very ethical way of advertisement, according to me. It's just a fun thing, and these people don't basically expect anything out of it, right? They're just doing it, like Pepsi and Coke. The fight. It's just an ad campaign that's been running. There's no secret behind it. It's all about creativity. How good ad copy that you can create, which can basically look ethical, sound funny, and attract more users. Now, conversion part. Looking at this, I can guarantee you not many would convert and go to a McDonald's, but they would have a smile on their face. They will laugh and they will appreciate the brand. This is called as brand recall. So there is brand awareness, right? Like that, every stage of campaigning, there's one campaigning type called as brand recall campaigns. Brand recall is basically you want to make sure that your logo is remembered by the customers. You want to make sure that you have an impression every now and then on in your customer's mind. And this is majorly a part of ATL kind of marketing, above the line, where you make sure you do mass campaigns like hoardings and advertisements on television, mass awareness campaigns to create a brand recall in your customers and your users on those nine. So McDonald's is still the best. ठीक है बर्गर किंग को आने दो बट मैकडोनल्ड्स इज द बेस्ट इसको आने दो बट हम बेस्ट है वो एक करने के लिए ब्रांड रिकॉल चलता रहेगा राइट अच्छा वो बहुत आगे की स्टेज की कंपनीज लार्ज कंपनीज लाइक मैकडोनल्ड्स और दोस पीपल कैन डू इट lower end pay this fight happens in SaaS companies. I used to do it where we used to fight on Google SEM campaigns, search engine marketing. AdWords के ऊपर आप देखोगे when you search about a product right on Google about a service, you'll find there is an ad saying why Mailchimp is better than Sendinblue. Why HubSpot is so ये बहुत fight होती है and they bid on such keywords. HubSpot will bid on Mailchimp's keyword. Mailchimps will bid on HubSpot's keyword, brand keyword to rank over there. It's a very similar type of what you mentioned, campaigning on digital mediums where you're doing it on Google. But होता है. Yeah, first thing I wanted to ask the participants is, are you guys bored? Because I understand that it was a long presentation. It could be boring for a lot of people who are not particularly interested in it, but could be interesting for people who want to actually learn about these techniques.
Hello, Mr. Sajal.
Hi Anurag, how are you?
First of all, it was an amazing session. Thank you for this insightful and informative session,
Thank
sir.
you so much, much
My
appreciated.
question was, like, what can be the most effective funnel strategy for an online service as a product?
Okay, by online service, can you tell me more about what type of service you were trying to promote?
Basically, taking an example of alumni card. We are focusing on one-on-one mentorship. So,
Right.
regarding one mentorship
Mhm.
as an online service, so
Mhm.
what be the more effective strategy, funnel strategy?
Okay, the funnel strategies again, this follow the same thing, BCFD, buyer centric funnel. But buyer centric don't focus on the word buyer. It's basically awareness, interest, desire, action kind of thing. Now, your target audience are two, right? You want mentors, right? You want people who are mentors who can teach, who can give sessions. You want users who can learn from the mentors, right? If I'm not wrong, Anurag.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Right. So you need to make sure that you have two types of communication in place. First, to attract mentors so that more mentors can associate with you, and to attract students for who can benefit from these mentors using the mentors' profile information, mentors' information. So if you get good mentors, you get good student base who would like to attend. So I think awareness, interest, desire, action would be the best thing. You bifurcate your list, create a list. Right? How would you create a list? Is basically using LinkedIn. LinkedIn would be one of the best modes. You can have multiple filters on LinkedIn where you can target. Okay, these are the people who are students in this age group, etc. Right? You can set a demography there, and you can search for mentors also, and then reach out to these people through LinkedIn itself. LinkedIn would be the best mode for you guys because this has the right audience base that you want to target. Apart from that, would be for students. You can also target social media. Sorry, Facebook. Similar type of demography can be set in Facebook. You can have a messaging. First thing is you want to make users aware of what alumni cart is, right? First and foremost thing, make an amazing website, which is very aligned to I know a lot of a few other. You know how Springboard 91 Springboard promotes. Have you seen their ads? They have mentorship programs, right? If you are associated with these guys as a startup incubated by them, they have a very good mentorship program. Y Combinator also has that, and also Loomis Partners. These are some incubators who are doing the same thing, right? You guys are not incubators, but you're doing the same thing. That's the only difference, right? So follow their strategy. It's very simple. What they're doing is they're bringing in good mentors on board, promoting the mentors to get students, right? And it can help you guys also. Now about the funnel part, again, yeah, awareness. First thing about alumni card, what do you guys do? What differentiates you from other users? How is it free? Is it costing users? What is your purpose? The purpose is very well defined, which is you want alumni to connect with. their mentors from the same universities and all those. I think that was your concept, right? Glorify on that concept and have good mentors on board so that you have good this thing students, and create campaigns, more awareness campaigns on what alumni card is, what it does, what, why, how वाला concept जो है, right? And start heavily marketing on social media. That is your best channel to market. LinkedIn, Facebook, not Twitter, not that effective in India, but LinkedIn, Facebook would be your best. Also Instagram, for that matter, right? I hope that answers your question.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
You're on mute, I think.
You're mute.
On chatbot. Okay, it's all right. I did not see chat from Rose, so sorry. Let me just go. Okay, starting. Piyush has asked, right? What is the best method of marketing B2B? ABM would be the best method, Piyush. Like I was discussing with Abhay about it. For B2B companies, you have to first identify, create your business canvas, business model, identify your customer segment. Once you have identified your customer segment, do ABM. What is ABM? Nothing. Very in very simple words, create a universal wish list of all the accounts that fall under the target customer criteria. Right. Once you know that, you map all these accounts, map users, stakeholders using LinkedIn. When you know the company name, make 2, 3 people sit, make a list, map all the users using LinkedIn, get their email IDs, and then after you get the email IDs, you have multiple modes of communication. One is through email marketing, you create, and all the communication should be in BCFD style: awareness, interest, consideration, action wala. Right? Create multiple templates, say 5 templates for each category. I mean, awareness, interest, and all those things, and then start email campaigning. You can take the same list, upload it on LinkedIn, create an audience, which is called as lookalike audience, right, on LinkedIn, and create ad copies in the same BCFD format, 5 ad copies, and start showing them ads. Similarly, you can take the same audience base list, create an audience on Facebook, do the same, repeat the same exercise that you're doing on LinkedIn. That's the best way I've seen for okay, for B2B campaign. I've been doing that, and personally given me best results for B2B. Hope that covers your question. You're welcome, Piyush. Any other questions, guys? Please feel free. I mean, I don't mind any question from sales also. Sales part is also something that I've been doing, and setting up sales teams, setting up sales processes. So I would be comfortable answering that also. Also, I have like only 5 to 10 more minutes. So yeah. If no questions, then we'll find out. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for the patience of being there, listening to it. Abhay is connected with me. If you have anything, if you need that presentation that I've created, I can share it with Abhay to get it shared with you guys also. And I am there on LinkedIn. You can simply search for Sharjeel Siddiqui. You can find me easily. I am very open. I do free mentoring also for a lot of startups. I don't charge. If you think if I've learned something, I should give back to the society. So anyone who wants to connect with me on LinkedIn and talk about it, Saturdays and Sundays is a time when I talk to people mostly. If they have doubts about their companies, career advices, anything, please feel free to get in touch. I'm very open. We'll connect, and good day then. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks, Abhay, for this platform. Thank you very much, Piyush and Arnab, for the questions. And please have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye bye.